Welcome everyone back to MCTV Studios in the basement of the Avalon Theater, Channel 15, MCTV Channel 15. I am Tim Wagon. I'm here again joined with Vincent. Vincent has been here. This is your third show, correct, Vincent?
Yes.
And
actually fourth.
Fourth?
Yes.
Why do we call this Vincent 3 then?
Because the last time...
Did you get canceled?
No.
What happened?
You didn't interview me. I interviewed the other.
That's right. Exactly. What was that again? That was about the gentleman who came from Baltimore who writes with a pen through his computer and
who has cerebral palsy, I believe, and can't control his body parts, so he has to type with a computer to speak.
Right. That was very interesting. It was a very, very cool show, and glad they came down. And I hope, however you pass that video on, that it does some good somewhere.
Well, it's currently, I've shared it with friends and family, and I have posted it to YouTube on my YouTube channel.
What's your YouTube channel?
Vincent Sissom.
How do you spell your last name?
S-I-S-S-O-M. And look for the one that says Ardrak in the middle.
So which one? Says what?
Ardrak in quotations.
Ardrak?
A-U-R-A-D-R-A-K.
Okay. And what is that? What does that stand for?
That's my nickname and my DeviantArt account.
Okay. All right. So Vincent, this is great that you're doing this. What started you to? Why did you want to do this type of show?
Well, personally, I was called by God to talk about disabilities, become a voice for people with disabilities, and that's basically how the show started. I came to you, wanted to do an interview.
Good. And what was your purpose of beyond? I guess you said you were called by God. What was your purpose? How did it all kind of come about?
Well, the key thing was the fact that I do want to help people with disabilities remove the stigma from disabilities as well. Right.
And what is your disability again?
I have ADHD and Asperger's syndrome.
Okay.
ADHD is pretty common. Well, sort of. ADD is common.
Right.
But Asperger's is far less common, and I feel as if not many people understand either one.
Right. I'm sure. I know I don't. I mean, although I guess, as you said, ADD is much more common. What is Asperger's?
Asperger's is essentially a form of autism where someone is it's basically the highest functioning version of autism.
Okay. All right. And how has it affected you, I guess?
Well, the ADHD, basically, I have a lot of trouble staying focused on things that don't interest me. The Asperger's makes only very few things interesting to me.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So, well, if you weren't enjoying doing this interview, and I was making you do this, and you would not like it.
Right.
So you would not be able to pay attention to it? How would that go about? In other words, whenever you come in here...
Well, when it involves a topic that I'm interested about, it's very easy for me to focus. But when it involves a topic that is basically off in left field for me, it's about as difficult as it gets.
I understand that. But I thought you said for the ADHD that you would lose interest. You can't pay attention.
Lose focus if it doesn't interest me. Okay.
So what I'm saying is whenever you come in here, you always seem very focused from the minute you get here to right now.
Yeah.
Until the end of the thing. So I'm imagining that you're very interested in doing these interviews. Obviously,
yes.
You wouldn't be here. If you weren't, what type of behavior could I expect to see if you weren't interested?
Well,
because I don't see that in you at all.
Well, thanks to my training, it'd probably be more or less me looking around, looking at other things, talking, trying to divert the attention to something that does interest me.
And what's been your training?
I went to, throughout school, people noticed that I had trouble focusing, so people gave me little tips and tricks, like if
Pretend you're interested?
well, not exactly, but more like how to keep my mind active while I'm talking with.
Right. And that's hard for a lot of people, but I imagine it's worse, and I understand it's worse in other situations. You wanted to, or more severe situations. You want to talk about current events. What's going on in the current events with the?
I've been actually keeping watch over the Ravens football games, and I've been feeling pretty down because of it.
You love football? You get the football thing bad? You get it bad?
I'm feeling.
Have you had it your whole life? Or are you kind of like a big fan of it the last 4 or 5 years? Or have you been a football fan
more
your whole
like
life?
since 2000. I've been enjoying.
That's a lot of your life, yeah. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So the Ravens. I don't know, man. They got a good team, you know.
Actually, I don't think it's so much the team as it is.
They never seem to score enough points, or they're hot and cold on points. One week they score 27, the next week they can't kick. They can kick 4 field goals and get a safety. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
but my other team that I root for, which people will be very upset about, is the Steelers.
Yeah.
Because they're doing okay. They're not doing great, but they're above average.
They were probably going to do really well for Roethlisberger to not get hurt.
Yeah.
They were scoring a lot of points. How did you become a Ravens and Steelers fan at the same time? And which one were you first?
It was sort of like, I think if we were doing it by the months and the days, I think I was a Steelers fan for about 2 weeks before I became a Ravens fan.
How did that happen? that's kind of
well,
funny.
One of my interests is mathematics, and another thing that interests me is defenses. And when I looked at the numbers for defenses around the league at the time, I had gotten to the Ravens when I got to the Steelers, and I checked the numbers for the Steelers, and I was like, wow, okay, that's some impressive numbers.
Right.
Then about a couple weeks later, when I could research it again, I managed to get to the Ravens, and I was like, okay, I think I found my teams, because at the time, Ravens had the #1 defense, and the Steelers had the #2 defense.
Right. Is that how you follow the team still nowadays?
More or less. I root for defensive teams.
Who had the best defense last year?
I did double check. I sort of fell out of football.
Well, you know, the sports rule is offense wins games, defense wins championships. That's
right.
What they say, right?
No, the term is offense wins popularity, defense wins games.
Oh, that could be true now, yeah. It could definitely be true now.
Yeah.
They could have changed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, well, Vincent, again, we're here with Vincent Sissom, and we're talking about getting rid of stigma and for people with disabilities. Vincent, it's been a great first half of the show tonight. We're going to come back once I get this phone call and talk about. Vincent has some questions from the crowd and some things that are actually very, very interesting on here. I think you'll want to hear about. Coming right back up.
Easton Hardware proudly supports the Avalon Foundation and MCTV. Easton Hardware has been bringing you fast, personal, courteous customer service for all your hardware and flooring needs for over 70 years.
Everyone, we're back at the Avalon, and Tim, next time, put your phone on silent before the interview process, please, for everyone's sake.
That's right. That's very good advice, Vincent. I appreciate that.
I mean, I put my phone away and I put it on silent just so it would.
You better put it away every show from now on. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah. It always seems to happen.
We're going to talk about 2 other things here real quick. We've got 4 questions here that we want to get to. We're with Vincent Sissom, and we're talking about defeating stigma. Just being aware that we all have. You don't want to feel like because of your disability that people look at you differently.
Right.
Right. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Right.
And that's really kind of our problem. So we've got 4 questions here. It says, What sort of video games would be recommended for a person with disabilities? Because video games, I'm sure,
that's a
cross
big,
all about universal.
yeah, that's one area that I absolutely love. It depends on the disability primarily. If you got someone within the autism spectrum, I would definitely recommend games that could let you think.
Like what? Do you have an example of one?
Like, like say Pokemon could be very deep. If the person's into arithmetic, I mean, I spent 700 hours on Pokemon X with its lack of post-game, just breeding and doing probabilities of getting that ideal Pokemon.
What does that do? What does that do for you?
It helps me do calculations in my head and keeps me interested in the game by doing probabilities.
Does that help? Does that transfer to life after the game? When you're going to the grocery store, when you're driving down the street, when you're walking your dog, does it translate?
For the most part, yeah. It can help with you, like say grocery store you mentioned. You go to the grocery store, you can calculate items much easier if your math skills are up to touch. Like on a regular basis, I check to see which is cheaper at the time. Just getting a dinner pack, or getting just the tacos and getting tacos and the sauce and the powdered stuff to make the tacos. And frequently, it's been just getting the dinner pack.
Right. So, and video games can help in that sort of fashion.
Yes. Now, for other disabilities like ADHD or ADD, something that can keep your attention. So, finding something that interests the person will help.
Like, what's a good game for that?
It depends on the person. If the person loves sports, they can play sports games all day long. If they are interested in games like shooters, they can do that all day long. If they have an interest in puzzle games.
What about in these building societies, these where you build
It depends
communities?
on the person. It depends on if that's the interest. Like for me, it may not interest me too much. I do like defenses and building defenses to keep a kingdom safe, but I'm not the type of person that would aggressively attack someone.
Right.
So I might divert my attention to building up my defenses.
Actually using video games to help you out a little bit, rather than just playing them.
Right. Now, for someone that has a lower IQ, I full-heartedly recommend educational games.
Right.
Because that will help them learn and become better and more understanding of the world around them if they are able to learn. Now, some are not able to learn, and basically Flappy Bird. If they can, if it's something that is too taxing for someone with a low IQ, Flappy Bird is...
We'll have to get back to that Flappy Bird one of these times. I got to figure out. I haven't heard of that one.
Well, you haven't been on YouTube enough.
Maybe I just embarrassed myself. So I don't know.
I'll fill you in real quick. Flappy Bird was a design game that ripped off of
Angry Birds?
one of the Mario Brothers platforms. It looks like. So ask Isaiah. He's got it on his iPad Mini, the original version, and it's worth $1 million.
Is that right?
That's what Isaiah says.
Flappy Bird.
He's got the original version of it.
All right.
Okay.
So we got there's audience participation here, and I have definitely embarrassed myself. Flappy Bird is huge. How about just real quick before we get these other questions, Vince? Do you go outside to do any activities beyond?
Yes. I do like to walk around, get some fresh air. Due to my ADHD, I have a lot of energy, so I like to pace.
Right.
That's common.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. How do you work with someone who has a developmental disability?
Again, I must reiterate, it depends on the disability and the personality of the person.
Okay.
But working with someone like me, if like say you're a supervisor, put them in an area that they can easily understand and won't be too boring for the individual. That that's where.
Where's that fine line? What's a good example?
Like for me, put me in charge of something where numbers are involved. That will keep my focus very easily.
Right.
Like in screen printing, put me on the flash units, make me flash because that's timed.
What about if you were working in a landscaping business? Well, you're 27, so I don't know what you do. But what if you were working in a landscaping business? Would cutting grass, I guess you're going to say, of course, it depends on who the person is, but pulling weeds, weed whacking?
Well, again, it does involve the skills of the person. Now, if the person has no real skills, mowing lawns, pulling weeds, that would be a fair choice. Maybe laying bricks down, maybe building up the walls.
But for you, numbers. And
Yeah.
there's computer side, too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You could work with a computer and...
Well, not computer on the levels of some of my friends, but I could definitely...
Database entry, things like that?
Yeah.
Right, sure. Okay. And what's the work environment like? And then what are you expecting from your supervisor?
For me personally, I want my supervisor to understand what I bring to the table and to use my skills accordingly.
Right.
I'm not asking for so much respect. I'm just asking for you to understand what I'm capable of, what my coworkers are capable of.
What do you mean you're not asking for respect?
I'm asking more for understanding than respect. That's what I mean.
Okay, gotcha.
I want them to understand what I can do, what my coworkers can do, and to use our skills accordingly.
Right. That's great. I think that's what a lot of people would say. All right. Do you feel like people with disabilities are treated fair in public?
Touchy territory. If the person is not known to have a disability, they're treated just the same as someone with as someone that isn't known to have a disability. They're basically.
And we're talking about developmental disabilities here, correct?
Right. Yes. Now, if
not a physical disability, in other words.
Right.
Something in the brain, or that's
or
what
just
if you can't
it can
see.
Be if you can't see it and you don't know it's there. For the most part, you treat them how you would normally treat people, other people.
Okay.
So I think that's fair. But when the knowledge is known, you have to be fair with the knowledge. Like, for me, if you were to see me on the street and you were to treat me as if I had no disability, that's perfectly fine.
Sure, right.
But if
have people treated you differently in public? Have you been, subjected to that or had that happen to you?
Some people, once they found out I had a disability, they changed their mood. They asked me different questions.
Like what?
Some of the questions they have been given here.
Right. But that seems to be okay because you're here talking about it.
Right. But some of the other questions are like, you don't look like you're disabled. Are you really disabled?
Uh-huh.
And that's the sort of questions where I feel like that's being unfair to the individual. With the knowledge, you really should be treated with that knowledge in mind.
Right.
So that's why I say
it's good that you're bringing it up because I think it's very hard on both sides. I mean,
yes.
Because there's
Now,
a huge misunderstanding.
If you don't have the knowledge, that's perfectly fine. If you can't tell someone's disabled until you know, that's fine. But if you know someone's disabled, you should use that information accordingly.
Gotcha.
To treat them fair.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's where it sort of gets touchy. I feel like some people with disabilities get spoiled a little too much.
Because people are too nice to them because they have a disability?
Yeah. And there's some people, they treat them way too unfairly.
Because they're scared of them because they have a disability?
No, they're scared of, they disrespect people with disabilities.
They don't like people with disabilities.
Yeah. And that's where the fairness level changes.
Right. Okay. All right. One last question here real quick. this is certainly current and a great idea for a question. What presidential candidate, and there are plenty to choose from, would you say would be the best for disabilities? And I don't think really they've ever talked about this on the campaign trail, so it'd be great to know.
Well, the reason, and this is actually a question I wanted to answer, which is why I personally wrote it down. The reason I wanted to answer this is because at Benedictine there's this massive wall of the supporters of all the people who sponsored Benedictine to get founded. And at the very top was Donald Trump. He was the most financial supporter of Benedictine.
Donald Trump.
Yes.
Man, we have got some viral stuff going on here. We might need to get a picture of that. Go ahead. What do you got to say, Vincent?
I feel like out of every presidential candidate, he's the only one that at some point in their history actively sponsored anyone with disabilities. Now, speaking of events for disabilities, there's one particular event coming up that I'm participating in, which is the Goosebump Jump. It's basically like the little brother to the polar bear plunge, where you basically go to Bearton Beach instead of Sandy Point, and it's in November instead of February, but otherwise it's the same thing.
And what's it called?
The Goosebump Jump. It's to support the Kent Center in it's in Chestertown.
To support the Kent Center in Chestertown. The
Yeah.
Goosebump Jump. What day is it?
November 14th. I'm going to be jumping as part of the Benedictine Plungers again for the third year in a row.
You jump into the water, you jump off a bridge or anything like that?
Jump into the water from the beach.
Right, from the beach. Gotcha. And how much money does it raise? How do you raise money for it?
I just asked for donations. So far this year, for this time around, I've raised $25, which is the bare minimum.
Well, we got to get Vincent some more money out there. Vincent, so how do they reach you if they wanted to do that? You can look right at that camera and just tell them where to email you.
Email is auradrak@gmail.com, auradrak@gmail.com. Phone number is 410-253-5020, and DeviantArt is auradrak, AURADRAK.
That's his nickname. We're here with Vincent Sissom. Vincent, it's been a real pleasure again today. I got to tell you that news about Trump is going to be something hot. I would put that on your page and send that out. Trump may give you another $25. I mean, he surely would to see that, I'm sure. We're talking about defeating stigma with disabilities. And Vincent, thank you very much. It's been a great talk.
Thank you.
Thanks.